Always remember, every shot is different, every shot is unique. No doubt that we have to make slight tiny adjustment when it comes to every single shot. When it comes to tiny adjustment, I really mean tiny adjustment, okay? So if we talk about club face, ideal, of course, we want to hit it with a square club face, so compressing the shot as we do on the driving range most of the time. But then a small little adjustment with the club face, the opening or close, kind of hovering the shot a little bit to hit it solid, or moving the ball a bit more towards the right of your stance or left of your stance does affect the impact. So tiny adjustment, you're just going to make sure you trust it, because golf is different every day. Our body is different. We could be waking up feeling a bit different every day. If you can try it on the golf course, I'm sure that some small little tiny adjustment will make your ground a bit more enjoyable, and of course will help your scores to come down, okay? Welcome back to Golf with Michelle. Today we're going to talk about something a little different. We're going to talk about tiny adjustments. We are all champions on the driving range. I hear a lot from my students and a lot of golfers that they always hit it perfect on the driving range, but when they go out there, it's a whole different scenario. It is true, because we will never get a perfect lie. We will never get a very flat lie. So assume that you are hitting it great on the driving range, right? As I mentioned, you're hitting it solid every single shot. We know where to place our 7-iron, where to place your hybrid, where to place your wood, or where to place your driver, and how to set up when you hit different shots. But when it gets to the golf course, you will force yourself to do the exact same thing. Sometimes we're just a bit stubborn when it comes to things like that. Even though we're not hitting well on the golf course, we force ourselves to do exactly this. Is what my coach say. The ball position has to be one ball left of center, and I'm duffing 10 shots in a row, and I still insist of doing the same thing. So today I want to focus on a little bit of we're more like sharing how it feels, and of course my experience and what we can do on the golf course to make that day a bit more fun and not so stressful. I'm going to start off talking about the driver. So assume that you went to the driving range and you warmed up and everything was perfect. And then let's go on to the first tee box, and the first shot you hit, it went straight left. Okay, or you push it straight right, or even hooking. Then if you do it like maybe 3-4 drives in a row, this is when the tiny adjustment have to come in. We cannot be stubborn, we cannot insist on doing what we've been doing and just keep thinking about how good I was hitting on the driving range and just keep going for the rest of the round. It's just gonna be miserable. So this is the common error that I see in a lot of golfers, where we are practicing on like a square mat, or even though like on grass range they usually have strings, so we are always setting up correctly, setting up square. But then when it comes to the golf course, everything is just, it looks the same. There's no angles, there's nothing that you can help you to guide you. So if you're hitting a block shot to the right side, or you're hitting a hook, high chance we are set up club face, most probably really nice, aiming straight at the target, okay, because we have a small little spot that we can pick in front of the ball and we set up the club face to it. But for our body, I see a lot of golfers tend to aim a bit right. So if we are always aiming right, it's just like 8 out of 10 golfers I see always aim right, and they have a tendency of blocking the shot or hooking it on the golf course. So if we're setting up like that, first we're changing the path of the inside out, and then when we push one shot, the next thing I start releasing it, and then I start hooking it. Okay? Technically, I gotta make sure when I set up, my body is open to target. So this tiny adjustment will be able to get you swinging more on plane, I would say. Because if we are always blocking it like that, okay, then we tend to think that, okay, every shot is going right, just let me swing it a bit over the top. That's when we're gonna come over the top, either start slicing it or start pulling it left. Okay, so this tiny adjustment is something that I think we should try, because like the swing is not going to change overnight on the golf course. I hope that this tiny adjustment will be able to help you, which is, I think, is something really important. I see a lot of golfers, if as soon as they set up correctly and the chest a bit open to target, it's going to feel open to target. If you stand square, it will change the path, and I see a lot of golfers swinging better and playing better. Okay, because when we're standing on the mat, everything is going to look perfect, right? Because if you if you are standing on the mat and you stand with a shut club face, it's gonna feel really weird, but it might not feel weird on a golf course. So I think this little tiny adjustment will be able to help you. But let's say if you're hitting it, everything pulling left, and you think that you're standing square, why is it still going a bit left? I suggest you to move the ball slightly towards the middle. If you put it slightly towards the middle, it will force the body to get the path coming a bit more inside, then you won't be hitting it a bit more left. That is just a tiny adjustment that will get the path coming a bit more inside out, okay? So let's say you're putting the ball left here and everything is going left. So the tiny adjustment, if I move the ball slightly towards the back of my stance, it will force the path to come a little bit more inside. So that will definitely help as well. I think the ball position and the setup is something that we can actually control. All right, if I'm pushing the ball straight right and I'm aiming correctly, I will move the ball slightly more towards the left to get the path coming a bit more from the outside to get it a bit straighter. Like I said, it's a really tiny adjustment. It's more of a feel. And then if any of this does work for you when you're hitting your driver, you should keep that feel and remember how it feels and play the rest of the round with it. You never know, when you get back to the driving range and you do the same thing, it's most probably exactly what you have been doing on the driving range. You're just doing something a bit different on the golf course, right? So I think if you can, just try to do small little adjustment. No doubt every single shot is different. We're not hitting on the driving range, so the golf game is very different every day. You're hitting on different slopes. So when it comes to the driver, although it's flat on the tee box, but I would say the aiming and the path will be the most important thing. Unless when we talk about irons and stuff, different slope, yes, it's even more adjustment. But when it comes to the tee box, to be honest, it could be just the ball position, it could be the setup, the aiming, and stuff like that. So don't let that throw you off. Hopefully this tiny adjustment will be able to help you to keep the ball in play. So the next club I'm going to talk is about the wood, alright? Although we don't use the wood all the time, most probably I would say, for me, maybe about six shots around. Most probably the second shots on a par 5 and some of the tee off, or maybe some of the long par 4s. If I don't hit a good drive, I might need the wood. So, and we most probably, for us on the driving range, we most probably hit about 10, 20 balls max with the wood. Okay, we don't practice it that much. And for me, the wood is a lot of feel. And I always tell a lot of people, when it comes to hitting the wood, we really have to swing smooth. When we get a bit excited on the golf course, we tend to not turn and just start hitting it, and we start topping. I see a lot of people, when it comes to the wood, they always top the ball. And they're like, again, it's good on the driving range. Why I can't hit it good on the golf course? First of all, the wood has, the loft is really not enough. It's not helping us when it comes to the loft of the 3-wood. And then we're always not on the flat lie. So I always suggest that if you want to hit the wood, you got to make sure that you are on a decent lie, or slightly on the uphill. Just make sure when it comes to the downhill, I really suggest you better go with the hybrid or the iron. Really do not hit the wood, okay? Because it might not, you might get the same distance as the hybrid. So when it comes to the wood on the golf course, we all know for a fact that it has to be somewhere inside the left heel. Okay, inside the left heel, and then we start hitting. Sometimes we might top the shot, okay? So let's say, for example, I get here and then I topped it, okay? Because we know for a fact that there's not much loft on the 3-wood, and we always try to get it up in the air. Then we ended up falling back, you know, and then just try to get the ball up in the air and end up just topping it. The small little adjustment you can do is, number one, really simple, just move the ball slightly more towards the middle, and then you will be able to catch the ball first. The other one is, yes, we want to feel like we're swimming smooth. The left shoulder is a bit higher, but if you are topping it, I suggest you to get your chest, feel like your chest is going to be a little bit over the ball. Okay, so the chest is a bit over the ball, and you're gonna tell yourself that, oh, I'm most probably gonna be hitting it like the iron. That's not how I'm supposed to do it. But again, it's a tiny adjustment. If you're swinging like this the whole day and you are just moving your chest a bit over the ball, trust me, it's most probably just nice at impact. So I suggest that you try to do this if you are topping it on the golf course. And then if you are duffing it, first of all, most probably the weight is a bit too much on the right side. So we are duffing, we're hitting it behind like this, right? Okay, because the weight is a bit more on the right. High chance when you set up, or you're standing slightly on the upslope, the weight is a bit more towards the right side. Again, we'll duff it, or sometimes even top it. I suggest when you come to hitting the wood on the golf course, if you want to catch it solid, I assume that when you want to hit your wood, you just want the distance, right? You want to hit it like as far as you can down the fairway on the par 5. So our goal is just hit it as far as we can somewhere down the middle. Just try to get your wood, your setup, maybe 60% weight on the left side. Okay? When you take your backswing, you're gonna feel like the weight still remains there. Then you start thinking, oh, that's the way I chip. But no, trust me, if you are having this issue, if you have your weight 60% on the left side and just hit a few shots, even though I have to finish 3/4 like this, the wood will still give me a pretty good distance. Okay, so I'm gonna put my weight slightly onto the left side, on the left side. I'm gonna keep it there. I'm gonna hit like a punch shot. And that will also give me a pretty good distance and keep the ball in play. Again, I'm just trying to get it down as far as I can, right? But then if you top it or you duff it, you're not gonna get any distance. Sometimes if we are forced to hit about 3/4 3-wood, I feel like you're punching it down the fairway, it's fine as well. So when it comes to the wood, it's really important we catch the ball first. So what I have mentioned is something that you gotta make sure you pay attention to the situation when you get to the ball. Just gotta make sure you analyze what you want to do before you apply what I have mentioned. Like I said, if you are topping the ball, I suggest you to get the chest a bit over it. Okay, and then if you're hitting a bit behind, make sure you want to feel your weight slightly on the left side. Or sometimes we hit it a bit behind because we try to get the ball up in the air. Try to swing it a bit smoother. Think about swinging it at 70% speed. You're most probably hitting it just as good. So wood is something that's a bit sensitive when it comes to the golf course about the club selection. Selecting to hit the wood is something you have to be really confident with before you use the wood, I would say. If you think that 9 out of 10 times you're gonna top it, I suggest you just go with the hybrid. The hybrid is one of my favorite clubs to play on the golf course because I can get it out of a lot of different situations, especially when I need distance, I need height, or I want to make sure that I don't chunk it. I think the hybrid is a go-to club. It's a club that I really like to play compared to my long irons. So adjustment for the hybrid, all right. A lot of us, I always get people asking me should I hit it like the wood or should I hit it like the irons? I would say it's different for everyone. To be honest, it's a feel, right? And it's how you feel and how you hit and your ball flight as well. If you're a person that topping the hybrid most of the time, and people tell you that the ball position, you have to swing it somewhat like the wood, you gotta swing it smooth, you can't make any divot, then you start topping it. Then I suggest you to think like you wanna hit like, you're gonna hit it like your 7-iron. Put the ball slightly more middle of your stance, okay, chest a bit over the ball, and just swing it through. I think that will kind of help you hit it a bit more solid. But then if you're chunking it, I suggest you think that you want to swing it smooth, move the ball a bit forward, feel like your head is slightly behind the ball. At impact, if you're chunking your hybrid, you want to feel like when you hit the ball, while the body is turning, is going, you want to feel like your head is a bit behind the ball. That will help you to shallow the plane and it won't chunk so much. So this is the 2 little tiny adjustments that you can do when it comes to hitting the hybrid. And we like to hit the hybrid out of the fairway bunker or even sometimes in the rough. Just gotta make sure the hybrid actually helps you with the loft. So you don't really have to think about getting it up in the air, especially when we're in a fairway bunker and we need the distance. It's a hybrid distance and we try to get the ball. The more you try to do that, most probably you hit it behind. When you're in a fairway bunker hitting the hybrid, just really gotta try it, really gotta trust it because it has a wider sole, it kind of brush through the sand. Just make sure you don't dig into it. That's a tip that I like to share with a lot of golfers, especially my students when we're doing playing lessons. I like them to keep the height. Like you wanna feel like throughout your fairway bunker shot, you cannot try to hit down on it because as soon as you try to hit down on it, that's it, the head is gonna go into the sand. I always tell them to try to keep their head. Try to stay tall like the setup. And throughout the whole shot, just really try to keep that same height while you're turning. We're not really trying to hit it far. You do not want to catch any sand. We want to catch the ball first. So I always tell a lot of golfers, just gotta make sure you stand taller when you're in the fairway bunker. But if you're in the rough and you choose to hit the hybrid compared to your long irons, you gotta make sure you swing it smooth. If you hit it hard, it's most probably gonna come up straight into the trees. So you're gonna make sure you swing it smooth. The adjustment will be the ball position has to be more towards the right side to keep the ball low, and we cannot hit a full swing. You're gonna make sure you try to just swing it really smooth and keep it low, all right? It's gonna be weight on the left side. Your head is gonna feel like it's left of the ball, all right? And just really swing it smooth to keep it low. All right, so the hybrids really create a lot of variety of shots on the golf course. Just need to know what kind of situation, what kind of adjustment you need to make according to the lie, according to the situation, and then execute the shot. Because if you tend to keep thinking that you want to hit the shot like the driving range at that same height, at the same impact, at the same distance, then it's going to be a bit difficult. I suggest that you, every single situation, try to analyze it, think about it, what kind of shot, try to visualize the shot, choose the shot that you want to hit, and then make that adjustment, and then hit the shot. Okay, now we're going to move into the irons. This is the club that we use the most on the golf course. It doesn't matter the long irons or the short irons, because it's the shot that we hit into the green, and ideally we got to hit it straight and hit it exactly the distance that we want as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit tiny adjustment. We're going to go with the ball flight. So if you start the ball straight at the target, but then it starts fading to the right side or hooking to the left side, that means the ball is curving. That means there's something to do with the club face. Again, if you're hitting it solid, I will remain everything the same, but we're going to play a little bit with the club face. So if you are pushing it towards the, curving the ball towards the right side, I would suggest you to feel like you're actually going to release the club head. Again, it's the feel, right? We're not going to go extreme with it. It's just a feel, and you always need to watch the result and watch the ball flight. So if I'm fading the ball curving to the right side, number one, what we can do is we just close the club face a little bit at setup. I would say just maybe by half a centimeter, just a really little adjustment. Close the club face, set up everything. I mean, make sure it doesn't look really weird to you. If it really shut out, it could be too much, all right? Just a little bit, okay? And then we're just gonna hit the shot. And then if you see the ball actually just straighten out, and that works maybe another like 5-6 holes, keep going with it. But then if you see the ball curving left, I suggest you gotta make sure you square up the club face again. Don't keep it shut, all right? And then if you see the ball going towards the left side, you can open the club face a little bit, maybe about, again, half a centimeter, and just keep hitting. If the ball doesn't curve that much left, it keeps the ball on the green, you're hitting pretty well. Keep with it until you see the ball curving right. That's when you do not want to do it anymore. Square back the club face. Another adjustment you could do is, if you can actually feel it, when you are hitting a hook shot, that means the eye is going left, it's curving left, right? Everything's going straight, but it's curving left. I would like you to feel like you're going to keep the club face square through impact just a little longer. That means technically when we get to this position, the club is releasing already, but then you're going to feel like you're going to keep it a bit more square, okay, to keep the ball a bit straighter instead of curving. If the ball is going a bit to the right side, that means we could be holding the club face a bit too long, open a bit too long, we're not releasing it. Number one, I see in a lot of golfers is they kind of hold the grip a bit too tight. That means that's why they can't release the club head. So I would suggest you to try to relax the wrist, relax the grip pressure, and that will help to kind of release the club face. Of course, when it comes to getting the ball going left, it's a bit sensitive because sometimes we tend to use our right hand and start turning the wrist. Then the ball is going to start hooking a lot. So I really suggest, number one, try the grip pressure. Really relax the grip, and you're going to feel the weight of the club head. Because when we actually feel the weight of the club head and relax, we realize that the toe of the club head is going to go first. When the toe of the club head is going to go first, we could most probably be able to square up the club face. Okay, if you're hitting it to the right side, just relax the wrist, and hopefully that will be able to straighten out the ball flight a little bit. Second, if the ball is going straight right or the ball is going straight left, if the ball is going that way or that way, that means it's the path issue. When it comes to the path, again, of course, there are a lot of other things that can affect the path, but then again, we do not want to do too much changes on the golf course. The tiny adjustment is, again, is the feel. I always like to use the clock. If you're looking at the ball, 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock, okay? If you're gonna look at the clock, if you are hitting the ball straight to the right side with a square club face, that means the ball is a straight push, it could be because we know that the path is coming from the inside out. That means you're swinging from 4 to 10. So I would like for you to look at the ball and just swing it more from 2 to 8, okay? Just feel like you're gonna swing the club from 2 to 8. That will get the club a bit more on plane, and I think that the ball will start straightening it out. If you are hitting the ball straight left with a square club face, then it could be because it's coming too much from 2 to 8 o'clock from the outside in. I will suggest you just, when you're looking at the ball, just feel like you're gonna swing it from 4 to 10. That will your body is really smart. It's gonna adjust by itself a little bit on the golf course. I would suggest you try to just, because there's a lot of feel when it comes to the golf course, if you look at the ball, you want to swing it a bit more from the inside because I'm coming from the outside. Just look at the ball and looking at the clock, 4 to 10. Just swing it at 4 to 10. That will change the path a little bit. Hopefully this adjustment will be able to get your ball starting a bit more down the line. And then again, if the ball curves, that depends on the club face as well. But again, very important, always get the club face going. That means we do not want the ball to curve too much. As long as the ball is going pretty straight, and if it's a path issue, that will be quite easy. So again, on the golf course, play a little bit with the club face, okay? Adjust a little bit. Do not make too big of adjustment because that is gonna go a bit wild, all right? So try it out. And also looking at the clock, try it out to play a bit with the path, and that will be able to help you to kind of hit the ball pretty decent. Again, if you really need to. Now we come down to the wedges. This club, if you make a small little mistake, it could give you a disaster result. So we have to be really careful, and we're gonna make sure we hit it solid. I tell all my students, you're gonna make sure you hit your wedges solid before you think about controlling distance, before you think about controlling the height of the shot. So when it comes to hitting it solid, okay, because we are always thinking that, oh, we need to make a contact, it's gonna be pretty similar to the full swing, and then we want to control our distance. I see a lot of people kind of babying their wedge, so they kind of stop here. So when they stop here, sometimes the path will come a little bit too much on the inside because they stop here, right? Because they just want to hit and then stop and just control the distance like that. So a lot of golfers tend to take it up, hit and stop, right? And then when they want to hit it a bit further, they take it higher and then again they stop. They're controlling like that. Actually, it's very dangerous because it's very hard to hit it solid and consistent. So for golfers that are having this kind of issue, especially in the golf course, if you feel like you're chunking it, you're not hitting it solid, I suggest at setup, I would choose to make sure the ball is going to be more towards the middle, and then you're going to point your both toes towards the target. Okay, when you do that, that will naturally help you turn the chest a bit more. Okay, turning the chest a bit more is going to help you to catch the ball first. So that is really important when it comes to hitting it solid. So okay, if hitting it solid is not an issue, then it's coming down to controlling the distance. Of course, this is something with so much feel. When it comes to 20, 30, 40 meters, it's easy to control because let's say I'm holding a 58 degree and I just go at 8 to 4 o'clock. That will give me about maybe 20 meters. But then when it comes down to those like really close shot where you want to land it soft, and then let's say you only have like 8 meters to fly or 5 meters to fly, I'm going to tell you that's a lot of practice and a lot of feel. But then on the golf course, sometimes we get a tendency of trying to rush the chip, okay? When we know that, okay, I'm just going to hit it about 5 meters, but I'm around the green, but the grass is a bit long. I know for a fact that if I don't hit this ball, the ball is going to stay there, it's not going to come out, and then when we go up and then I jab it. You have to trust the club, I would say. When it comes to the wedges, the wedge is really heavy. The club will definitely go down and help the ball to pop out with the loft. So you just gotta really trust it. For me, when I set up, I just gotta make sure I set up correctly. My weight is on the left side. I keep my wrist really relaxed. And I'm just gonna let the club do the job. And just when I take it, so when it comes to a really soft shot, I try to keep my wrist and my handle really soft and really trust the club. Because when I grip it tight and then I try to do a short swing, you want to hit it 5 meters, it's going to go at least 10 meters. So if you keep it really soft, the impact will be softer, the ball will land softer as well. And then if you want to hit it a bit further, just a bit longer, but try to keep the wrist soft and keep everything, just let the club head do the work. I will always tell everybody, let the club head do the work. You got to trust it. Okay, but you got to try it on the golf course. The more you do that, and when you start hitting it solid and getting the distance you want, you're gonna it's gonna get really natural for you. Then you will be able to trust it in the long run. Like for me, when I'm in the rough around the green, that's when everybody gets panicked when they see that shot. But for me, I just think that when I stand over it, I set up correctly, relax my wrist, just trust the club. Just feel like you're gonna drop the club head behind the ball is going to pop up. I'm talking about the shots around the green where you only have really little green to work with and you want to hit it at a really short distance. Just make sure the club selection is correct and just really trust it. And the wedges, that's why you see a lot of pros spending a lot of time practicing their wedges, because when it comes down to shots like that, it's very crucial because it can cost them a lot. So I suggest that you practice a lot. When you go to the pitching area or chipping area, just make sure you drop the balls around different situations and play with it, uphill, downhill. When it gets to a really downhill shot with a wedge, okay, like this, everyone gets really, really nervous. Of course, out of 10 shots, if I can hit it really solid, really good, like 3 or 4 times out of 10 shots, it's actually pretty good, because this is a really, really tough lie. For me, we have to play the percentage. We want to get the ball on the green. If you're not in front, if you're not in front, there's nothing to carry. Sometimes I even suggest my students, you know, just keep it a bit low, try to land it a bit short and let it bump up, let it run up onto the green. Don't try to stand over here and try to make sure you get the ball up in the air and topping it is straight over the green into the bunker on the other side of, even though in the water. So when you're on the slope, for the wedges, just be a very bit careful, because we can't go full swing with it. It's all still controlled because we need to hit it at a certain distance. So knowing for a fact that if I'm standing on a downslope like that, my 58 degree most probably will become 54 degree. So you might not have to hit it so hard to get it going. So it's just a lot of feel, and I always suggest that you're gonna make sure you practice. For me, I have to make sure I set out with my left shoulder a bit lower, weight on the left side. I'm gonna keep it there and just make sure I swing with the slope, and you gotta trust it, because the wedges is shorter. Anytime I come out of it, it's gonna top. So I have to really, really trust it. Again, it comes down to practice. Do not hit a shot that you never practiced before on the golf course. So spend some time, most of your time around the pitching area to practice this kind of shots, because we do need it a lot. Not all of us hit it at the pin all the time. So around the green is really, really important. All right, so spend some time practicing with your wedges, play with it and make it your best friend. And I'm sure your scores will get a bit lower from there. If you guys do think that this video will be able to help your friend or anyone, please share it, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys again in the next video.